Hey y'all, this is Dan Vis over at Fast Missions, and today I'm excited to announce Phase 1 in our strategic plan to build an off-grid cabin is complete. And at the end of this video, I have a pretty exciting announcement about Phase 2 that you're not going to want to miss. So stay tuned and get all the latest about how things are going. Just by way of quick review, in my very first YouTube video on January 1 of this year, I shared a bit about the importance of aiming for breakthroughs in our life. How real transformation doesn't usually come from small incremental change. It takes stepping out and doing something different, even radically different. And I gave an example from my own life, how I've been wanting to build an off-grid cabin for quite a while, for years really, but I've never really been able to make much progress on it. And unless I do something radically different in 2021, this whole year is going to come and go too, just like all those other years, and nothing will have happened. Sorry about that, just daydreaming a bit. So the question is, how do you get these breakthroughs? In my last video, I talked about the importance of having a strategic plan. You have to chart a course from where you are to where you want to be, and identify all the key steps in between. And then once you have that plan in place, it's a simple matter of executing those steps one at a time in order. Now, your goal may be something completely different than mine, but the principle is the same. If you want a real breakthrough in your life, you have to have a plan. Now, my plan consisted of 4 basic steps. Number 1, fix up my garage so I can start using it as a workshop or a wood shop. Very important. Number 2, get a van or some other vehicle I can use to transport supplies to the cabin site and also live in while I'm doing the building. Number 3, buy the land I want to put the cabin on. And then finally, number 4, once I've got all those other things in place, then I can start the actual building. It's a pretty simple plan. There's probably other paths to get to my end objective, but this is the path that made the most sense to me because each step builds on the ones before. Step 1 will help me accomplish step 2. Step 2 will help me with step 3. And step 3 is essential to achieving step 4. I also like this particular plan because even if I don't get all the way to the end goal, each milestone along the way has its own benefits and blessings that come with it. That is, I can start experiencing real positives from this plan right from the start. And even just completing step 1 is going to be really useful to me in other areas of life. And the same with all the other steps. And I think that's going to really help keep motivation high. So here's that plan again. In this video, I want to share a quick update on our progress toward this end goal, and in particular, our progress on step 1. I hadn't really figured out how to do one of those fancy time-lapse videos for this phase of things, but I did snap a few photos. So sit back and enjoy the show while I walk you through the journey. It was kind of an oversized single garage. The car took most of the place, but we had a little space in the back, and we were mostly just using it to store some junk. Here's another shot. We had a big bathtub, our snowblower, boxes, a file cabinet, and there's the front of our car just to show you how much room we had. It was kind of a mess. I'm almost embarrassed to show you what we had here. When we actually moved everything out from the back of the garage to the front so I'd have some room to work, you can see how much stuff we had back there. It was quite a mess. So the first thing we had to do is get some heat, and I found this little propane heater that we were able to buy and get some a propane tank for it. Just screwed right in the back, very easy to do, and we turned that thing on and it started cooking up pretty warm in there. In fact, we were warm in just a matter of a few minutes, and it kept us warm the whole time we were working out there. North Dakota is very cold, and so now we can use our garage and have some heat. Really, really great idea. This was a window that was in the back going out to our backyard. It wasn't hung properly, kind of a mess. I finally figured out how to put that back in the way it was supposed to be so I have a little better insulation. And then I added some foam board. In fact, 2 layers of foam board, sealed that up really good, trying to keep this room a little bit warmer. We also had a panel that was missing from our garage, needed some insulation, so I put some foam board there as well. And then I was looking at it a little more carefully, and I noticed we had almost an inch thick gap on the bottom of our door. I could stick my fingers through there.
We had been using a little fabric snake to kind of seal that up, but I built a little threshold for it, and I put some wood up on top where there's a big gap and on the side, trying to seal that up. Trying to figure out here how to put a little weather stripping, I guess they call it, down on the bottom. Looks like our door needs a little cleaning too. But anyway, we got that figured out and sealed up, and so all of this was just to get this room a little bit warmer so I could actually work in here and use this. And once we had everything set up, it was very comfortable. I could put this on low and it would keep us warm all day long. It was really great. Next thing I wanted to do was build a little work table. So here you can see me, I got my horses set up and cutting some boards. There's a little bit of lumber I purchased over there on the side, not too much. And putting my legs together using some little clamps that our son had given me for a birthday present one year. Here we are putting some more things together, screwing it all in, nails. And make a long story short, we ended up with this little table. You'll see the panel down on the bottom that actually inserts underneath the top of the table, and I can use it as an extender. And I also have extenders for the left and right side. They just slide right in there. So it can be a pretty big table when I need it. Has everything I need on it. Very, very nice to have. At first we put it on the left side. We ended up moving over to the right side of the garage. Once I had it, I used it for all my cutting, and it sure was convenient having a nice big table. You can see I accidentally drilled a few holes in my nice new tabletop. But anyway, I guess that's what you get with a work table. There's the back of the garage. I had some old wooden cabinet kind of things, and I just got rid of all of that, drug it out, threw it in my truck to take down to the dump. And this little tabletop or counter that was back there, I demolished that, took it out, and started building my own cabinets in the back. Here I am working on it a little bit. Here's one of them that's kind of starting to go in. I got the other piece just ready to slide in there. Pretty soon I have it all set up. And notice I put the little rubber mat down on the floor. That really helped a lot with the temperature as well. So now it's actually getting quite comfortable in here. Originally I had a top for the counter that was going to wrap around and go to my table, but I decided I didn't need it, and so I just trimmed that piece off. And so now it looked something like this. You see I had a shelf in there for my tubs and big cartons on the bottom as well. So I had lots of room. In fact, I had 6 big tubs on the bottom and then 6 drawers underneath it. This was probably after about 2 weeks of work, still just putting along as I'm able to here and there. Eventually I did put on these sliding cabinet doors. This was part of my original plan. And there I got the other side in. Really happy with how that turned out. I'd never done anything like it before, but it wasn't too hard to figure out. So have that all cleared up and ready to go. Then I had these shelves that were on the right side up on top. I decided I didn't want to put them over there for a couple reasons. I'll show you why. So I took them down. One reason was I wanted to extend this pegboard where I had stored some of my tools. I had put these pegboards up when I first moved in, but I decided I wanted to extend them down all the way to the end, so that's still to do actually. And I moved those shelves from the right side to the back of the wall, so all my shelves were together. And I used some of the wood that was the old tabletop, and I made a second short shelf. You can see that one down at the bottom actually. And redid all that, so that was really nice. We had a neighbor that actually gave us a little LED light. When they moved out, they didn't want to take it with them, so I plugged that in. Really thankful for that little gift. Give us a little extra light on our work table, starting to put some things back. And this is the final picture. It's all finished pretty much. I still need to put the pegboard in. I originally was going to turn that table on the right side into a table saw. I may still do that, but my first attempt didn't work quite right. And I still need another tool or two. I'm going to go pick me up a chop saw. And anyway, see how that goes. Lots of room in there. Half those tubs are pretty much empty. And maybe still a little more cleaning up to do. But it really turned out super nice. And I'm super excited about it.
Now here's just a few summary thoughts. First, start with what you have. Not only did it make logical sense to do this step first, it was also the task that was easiest to get started with. Other than a couple $100 for a few needed tools, I pretty much had everything I needed, really. If you're serious about achieving your breakthrough, then assess what resources you already have and how you can make the most of them. Make full use of whatever you have right now. Number 2, don't worry about doing everything perfect. I'm not a master craftsman by any means, and I'm sure some of you out there watching this could have done a much better job. I can think of some things I wish I had done different, and that's part of the growth process, learning as you go. But even if it's not perfect, right, what I have now is certainly better than what I had before. It's progress. Number 3, create plans within plans. Just as my goal of an off-grid cabin had to be broken down into smaller steps for them in my plan, I had to develop a plan for exactly how I was going to redo this first step, do my garage. And in fact, I have rough plans for each of the other 3 steps in my master plan too. So settle on the main steps for your strategic plan and then start creating sub-plans to accomplish each of those individual milestones. And number 4, be patient with yourself. Some of these things take time. I stay pretty busy with FAST, so I could only work on this once or twice a week around my other responsibilities. I also live at quite a distance from town, so I can't just run in and pick things up when I need something. And so this ended up taking about 4 or 5 weekends to get knocked out, which is about the time that I allotted for this phase of the project. We often think of big breakthroughs as coming suddenly, but more often they're the result of sustained effort over time. So you've got to stay focused and just be patient with yourself. There's probably other principles to glean from a project like this, and I'm sure I'll share more as we progress on through the other phases. But hopefully this gives at least a few ideas on how to get started on your next breakthrough too. In fact, speaking of other tips, let me give you one more right now. Here's number 5. Once you finish a step, move right on to the next step as fast as you can. Yep, we've just bought our vehicle for phase 2, and I'm eager to get into the rebuild right away. So that's up next, getting that beast remodeled. It's going to be a much bigger job than the garage, but I'm looking forward to it. And I'll be sure to keep you posted with all the details right here on this channel, including the story of how we found her. And if you've got a good name for her, leave it in the comments. Alright, that about wraps up this video. Quick shout out as usual to our awesome community over at FAST. You guys are the best. And if you're not yet a member, you can stop by anytime, fastmissions.com, and join in. It just takes a second or two and it's free. And as a member, you get access to all kinds of tools and training to help you grow spiritually. So I hope to see you there. Let's keep climbing higher.